Welcome back to another episode of Getting Personal. I'm here today with Johnny, founder of Rich Guin and Toka Music. How are you doing today, Johnny? It's really, really great to have you.
I'm great, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Nice. Before we get into your personal story and obviously talk about Rich Guin and Toka Music, there's a lot to unpack there. But as a HBAR community member, an active one, I see you every day on the timeline. I'd love to get your pulse on the current state of the ecosystem. From your perspective, as a founder, as a community member, where are we at? How are you feeling the ecosystem right now?
I look at it. I really look at it from a pulled back view. But that's everything that I do. I always look at it from, if we do the work today, what it's going to be in 3, 5, 10 years. It's kind of from, in the Army, we always did like the 50-meter targets, 100-meter targets, the 300-meter targets. And you'd always plan in 30, 60, 90, and then 180. So like for me, I don't look at a specific moment like right now as nearly even the potential of what Hedera is going to be in the future. And not just Hedera, I mean DLT in general. I think it's going to be such a major part of the way things are done in the future. Similarly, I guess, I'm a little older than you, but I witnessed internet, becoming a thing. I remember the dial-up days when everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I just wish it was a little faster," And I think that's the way we're going to be seeing a lot of these networks in the future. Is just like, hey, you remember those days when, we were building out NFT projects, and I mean, it's going to be a brotherhood in the future of the creators that are here in the space at this moment, in the pioneer stage. I don't even think we're early. I think we're cutting trees and making paths. I mean, a lot of the things that you look at, the metaverse things that Earthlings and Friendslands are doing. I mean, gosh, I blanked out on, there's a couple of other people that are building out some amazing things. That is like the baby steps of the metaverse. And so it'll all be connected. I mean, I don't have a shadow of a doubt that the tribalism will really look silly in about 5 years because everything is going to be interconnected. So as far as the space right now, the pulse on it, I think that it's growing. I think that it doesn't need to grow too fast, because if it grows too fast, then the infrastructure falls apart, and then it goes on, becomes fodder for the people that say, look, I told you that NFTs were a scam, blah, blah, blah. It needs to mature organically, and that happens because people are using the DLT or whatever.
I love that perspective. Yeah. You talked about, we're here, we're pioneering, we're carving this, this new future out. You're carving it out with, in part, Rich Guin. Like, for those who are maybe hearing about Rich Guin for the first time, how did it start? What's the vision? Give us an overview of Rich Guin.
I started Rich Guin originally, before I had met Slim from Tokomex. I originally had created Rich Guin to basically link up with musicians in Mexico and Latin America and mint their music, help people to find them. There's so much talent locked up in Mexico. Even just, if you just look at Mexico, everything about Mexico is flavor, is art, it resonates with an artist. And so for me, when I moved down here in the end of, I guess, 2017, I was dealing with some stuff. I served in the war, and I had really kind of just had to clean my mind, and it helped me to do that. Rich Guin was created basically as a coping mechanism. I lost a daughter about 2 years ago, and all the therapist said was, you need to journal, you need to try and talk about things. And I really clammed up and gave up. And art had always been a big part of my life anyway, but I kind of bought the lie. So, I mean, I can't really complain about how things brought me here, so I'm not going to do that. So I bought the lie though that art can't pay the bills. You know, that you cannot make a living creating art. My father said it, the school counselor said it, you need to get a trade, you need to go to college, you need to do these things. And I was like, no, screw you, I'm joining the military. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I did really, really well in the military. I'm a driven person. So I believe that probably even if I chose to be an artist at that moment in my life, I probably would have
Mm-hmm.
succeeded anyway. So when I lost my daughter a couple of years ago, I used art because I couldn't really write at that moment. I mean, I just wanted to sleep. I checked out a life and I started drawing. And the very first collection I made was just kind of, just something to get the emotions out of my head, out of my heart, and put it onto paper. And then I started doodling around with a penguin. And I think it was because I was watching some show and it was like talking about penguins in Antarctica and how social they are and how they mate for life and how brutally aggressive they are with one another, but like with other species they're open and all this. It was just like the differences between the human species and these penguins was just humorous to me, and I needed that. I needed to laugh. I mean, everything else about my life was dreary and sad, and so I began to draw out Rich Guin, and it wasn't Rich Guin at the time, but it was penguins. Penguins doing different things and smacking each other and whatever. And so I just kind of kept tinkering with him, and I had a dream. I'd gotten pretty sick, and I was having like these weird dreams. And anyway, I basically got to a point where I was so sad that I just gave up on life. And so this donkey, and Mattia will probably tell you the story, but there's very few people that know this, so now everybody's gonna know it. But this donkey, like this cartoon donkey, was trying to explain string theory to me, universal string theory to me on a blackboard with a stick. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm ready to go. Like I'm talking to this donkey. Hadn't eaten for like 7 days. I gave up. Like 7 days, no water, no drink, no food, no nothing, hallucinating the whole bit. And I'm talking with this stupid ass donkey, and he's telling me about, look, your decisions, right, are or you could say no, and you can die, you can quit, or you can say yes, and it's going to open up other opportunities. You're not done yet. Um, you have other things ahead for you. And so, and then I had this kind of almost Scrooge-ish McDuck like thought in my head. And the next day, I started drawing the penguins that I had been drawing out, basically with top hats and canes. And then I used Dolly basically to help me create a digital version of it. And that
Mm-hmm.
was what the Genesis collection ended up being, was the, but that came from a dream. And so I truly believe that dreams are basically seed thoughts that the universe gives you. You can do one of two things with them. You can be like, not important right now, I got to go to work, or not important right now, I don't feel like this, I'm done. And so, and I just happened to make the right choice, thanks to that donkey in my brain. And the rest for me is history, because it's opened up doors for meeting individuals that I never would have met if I had just stayed in bed and given up on life. So that's where Rich Wind started. That's
Mm.
where everything.
It's super inspiring, and I really love the idea that these the thoughts or inspiration comes in dreams. I personally feel that that's how creativity works as well. Like you could be out on a walk, or I go for a
Mm-hmm.
swim, or I could be sitting outside. It could be at any moment. It could be when I'm in the shower. Right?
100%.
You just have these ideas, and you got to honor that flow, that creative,
Yes.
those creative juices that are just coming to you. Right? They're coming from somewhere, and you either honor
Mm-hmm.
them or you don't. Right? You choose them or
No,
you don't.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like that, and I think they're gifts, because like that gift really helped me claw my way out of a grave. I mean, in the most literal sense. I really had given up. And, you know, how many people just quit eating, not because they're trying to do some sort of cleanse or something, but just stop eating. Stop drinking water, stop eating. If I could have stopped breathing on my own, I would have done it. And so like art helped me claw my way back to the present, you know, and that's an amazing thing. So these thoughts, they're gifts, from whoever, whatever you believe in, right? If you're open to receive them and to recognize them as that thoughts and creativity is valuable and it can do magical things in your life, then it is a gift, and I ran with mine.
I love that. You mentioned a bit further back in the story about the original idea of wanting to support artists, right? And
Hmm.
consider yourself an artist as well at this point, having
Yes.
created all the art that you have. How does maybe for someone outside of Web3 that doesn't really grasp how the potential of these tools, right, that we have now, NFTs, and how to leverage those as an artist, like what is it in those that you want to bring to these people? How can they benefit by using this technology, right?
Yeah. No, I think that, well, specifically when it comes to, let's say, music, we can kind of segue, I guess, into what we've created for Hella. When I showed her or shared, I guess, my vision of what I perceived what an NFT should look like, right? Like a deep dive into an artist, understanding an artist's creative process and that whole bit. And I showed her that we could put, a craft and, bunch of different types of files, and even 3D files are supported, and you can put it all in this box and present it as a gift to people that want to support your work.
Mm.
Um, that's amazing. I mean, you look at many of the performing artists in this world. A lot of them aren't a one-trick pony. They're artists. So they also paint. They also sculpt. They also, do multiple different things. And so, like, for an artist, when you present them with the fact that, hey, how do you want to present yourself? That, I mean, you're giving them a license to go, okay, let's shoot for the moon. And with Hedera, you can do that. I mean, like, you can pack so much value into one NFT and then transact it for such a low transaction fee. It's always fast, it's always secure, and it's always works. And so there's maybe like three or four DLTs out there that can say that. Now, when you're talking earlier about, get the finger on the pulse of the space and things like that, I think that's what we need to have a bull run only as a stress test. Let's see what its potential is, because up to this point, it's done great. We have the TPS high 10,000. They like to try and say it's 3,000 on different media groups and stuff. But we know we're watching it. On I guess I can't remember the page that you can actually watch transaction speeds and stuff like that. Hash. Anyway, not important. But like we can actually see how fast it is, and we
Yeah.
can also literally send value all over the world in less than a second or two. I mean, one of the reasons that I gave did a free mint for the first series after I'd done the launch is because I want them in wallets. I want to see Rich Guin in every corner of the world. I want eventually I want to be able to do some sort of a map. I know you can't really, you can't track anything really. So, but I want to do a map, and I want to show that Rich Guin has basically traveled all over the world, and he already has to a certain degree. It's pretty amazing just what Hedera has allowed me to do in a short period of time. So the same thing with Hella, when she saw the ability to move her art outside of Mexico to the world, she
Yeah.
jumped on it. It's made for artists. It's made for artists that want to monetize their work and make a living of it. And you can do that on the DLT, especially on the there.
Give me an example, or give the people listening in an example of the kind of things that you would attach to the NFT. Like what has Hella attached to this one NFT? What kinds of files, what kinds of art could people do? Give people a taste.
I don't tell them what you know what okay, I'll tell you what I did with Hella is I did a drawing. I mean, that's how I communicate. I really communicate best through drawing, which is uh, maybe a little bit like kindergarten. I don't know. But like, I basically drew out a box and I said, Hella, what would you put in this box? If you're creating a gift of your art, what would you put into it? And, but in my brain, I'm like, oh crap, hopefully she doesn't give me anything that's like not possible or whatever. But fortunately, I'm sitting at this, this coffee shop in Guadalajara, and she goes, okay, this box, what can I put in it? Well, I've got some paint, I've got some drawings, I've got my notebook, I've got this, I've got that, you know, and I said, okay, so let's write all those things down. I wrote everything that she told me. Everything was a yes. Everything was a yes. And
There you go.
because it could be it can be either tokenized or it can be created in file format.
Hmm.
And so when she was able to see that she could, for one song, attach all the photos of the performance or the recording process, all the photos of her notebook with the handwritten notes and the things that most artists keep, which is they have that notebook. Mine's right beside my bed now. I always keep it near me. It's either in my backpack when I travel, or it's right beside my bed in my room or in the hotel room. And so when she saw that, she was like, "Well, this is gonna change the way music is done," and I believe that.
Yeah.
I'm very, very concerned. Well, I won't get too far into that. Files that you can add that you will see on most of the Toco music. Even I've even done it with Rich Guin as well. Um, is You can do the early stuff to prove provenance, right? So for Rich
Yeah.
Guin, the series 2 that I'm getting ready to launch. Well, I think it's today actually. Um, Today's the 21st. Yeah, 21st. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's today. I don't know that. Yeah, the series 2. So what I did was I put as one of the files the drawing.
Love it.
Why is that important? Why is that important? Do I feel, am I like self-absorbed and I think I'm bigger than I really? No. Think about if you look at a Van Gogh hanging in a museum, right? After he painted when he painted that Van Gogh, it was after months of preparation, at least weeks, right? There was hand drawings, there was inspiration, there was something. I want in everything that I create, I want people to see from the thought to the finished product, right? And I do that in Toco Music as well. I want the artists to not just present their clean, pretty music that's been doctored, it's been produced, it's been digitally mastered, everything's been mixed. I want to see the mess ups, right? I want to see like what was the inspiration behind it. One
Mm.
of the other things that we did with Hella is that she speaks, she's bilingual, so well, actually, I think she speaks more than that, but bilingual. So she tells people in Spanish, her native tongue, and in English what inspired her for the specific song that she put in that NFT. Now, the MP3 probably won't have that. I mean, other people will probably listen to the song, maybe buy the MP3 in a local music store in the future and think, oh, it's a really nice song. But the people that own the NFT will go, I know why she wrote it. I know what inspired it. I actually have a picture of the notebook that she wrote the lyrics out, scratched out bad parts, and you know, as she was working through her creative process. I want to see that. I do that with Rich Guin. Everything is hand drawn from the beginning, and then it goes to Mattia for cleanup and things like that. I want to see the entire process, and I want, if this system is used for years and years, like a lot of us believe that it will be underlying running
Hmm.
things in the future, right? A way to store and store value, save value, and transmit value. I believe that this is going to be used for the next 100 years. And so I want people after I'm long gone to be able to see, oh, he didn't just create a cute little penguin. This is on this NFT that I have of his. I have the drawing. of when he was inspired and what inspired him to do this different accessory or this type of car
Yeah.
or this type of thing. And I think that that's super important because that gives you a full picture of the creative process.
Yeah, I think going back to inspiration, I think it will potentially inspire more people as well to maybe do more of this as well. Like if you're receiving
Hopefully.
not just the final product but the process, you can get inspired by that. You're being let in
Yes.
to where the magic happens, right? You're getting closer to that process where that magic happens. So I think it's
And it's a
yeah,
teaching
not
moment.
only
And it's a
huh?
teaching moment because there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that I've met that they're like, "Hey, I got an idea for some." I mean, bro, you have no idea how many people have reached out. Especially now that we're me, Mattia, and Slim are getting showcased in Expector. A lot of people, man, are reaching out and go, "I got this idea for something, but how do I really, you know?" And because there's a lot of people that have a great idea,
Yeah.
right? And it could probably pay their bills, but they need somebody to kind of go, one, to be encouraging, and two, to show them the process, because
Yeah.
not everybody has had a chance to just learn the process, like go through the process, or be taught the process. And so, like, if you can show it with your NFTs, it's not just. I mean, it's cool to have something just for fun, right? But like, you also have such an opportunity. We're so early in the space that people will look back at what's built today and go, these guys got it like 10 years before I did. That's so weird. Like, how did they
Yeah.
know about it and I didn't? You know, like Mattia asked a while back now. He was like, I really wish we could see how this space looks in 50 years. And I'm like, you're building it, Mattia. Me and you and all these other people in this space right now, we're all building what it's going to look like. So you don't need to worry about the metaverse and this NFT space is not going to build itself. We're building it. The people that
Yeah.
are pioneering and learning the technology and understanding the technology are the ones building it. So that's kind of hopefully that's my inspiration to other people right now.
And you mentioned metaverse there. I know that a lot of the NFTs for Rich Guin are actually 3D assets, right? That can be used within these
They're all
you know
3D.
expect, Expector or other metaverses. What's your take on metaverses right now? Like, where are we at in the process of
We're
building
we're
out?
in the development stages. I mean, and you know what? I don't listen to one chain. Um, I've been really making a concerted effort to listen to other
Mm,
blockchain spaces. I am not a spaces person because it usually ends up being, you know, uh, competitive projects, and it just is ugly. And that competitiveness and jealousy is ugly to me. It kills creativity. Period. Jealousy and like this overly competitive spirit, it kills creativity. So like, if there's any words I can give to anybody as far as like, you want to be inspired, quit being jealous of other people's projects. Just worry about your own. But metaverse, to your question, sorry. Um, yes, I believe that eventually a lot of things, just like Uber replaced the taxi, I think the metaverse is going to replace in-person meetings, in-person training seminars, in-person conferences. It already is in a lot of places. My daughter speaks at a lot of events, and a lot of them are moving to streaming live, right? So that if you can't fly all the way to the Gold Coast right now for the event that's happening there, um, on the XRPL, a lot of the guys over there, anyway, you actually have the ability to still participate and be part of these
yeah.
events. Israel in real life events are great, fantastic. I love it. I think the metaverse almost kind of scratches that itch. What was the one of the biggest complaints that I heard, and I only looked at specific things concerning when for the 2022 and 2021, that time frame when everybody was being locked down, was their lack of ability to be social, right? And the metaverse, even though it's artificial, right? And for the people that aren't great about going out and hiking or going out on their morning walks like you are, or whatever, they can still scratch that social itch by coming in and meeting up with people from all over the world, from different mentalities.
Mm.
Will that help? Absolutely. I mean, there is zero reasons why we shouldn't know each other know each other's histories, each other's feelings on events that are happening in our own countries. Um, recently there's been a big push by the government in the United States to shut down TikTok in the US. I don't think it has anything to do with their worries about Chinese spying. I think it has to do with other people from other countries are being able to say, "Hey, this is how I feel about stuff. Hey, look, these did you know that the French farmers are basically surrounding the entire, I mean, you can see it firsthand. It hasn't been exploited to the fact where people can control the speech that happens on there and the thing. So I think that the metaverse is going to be a great place for that, where you can interact, you can understand each other's cultures, you can understand each other's lifestyles, but you can also learn English,
Yeah.
or you can learn French, or you can learn Portuguese, you know. Right now, literally, the Toko Music Group has somebody in Scotland, it has somebody in Croatia, somebody in Vietnam. I mean, the project is worldwide already. Even before we had a Hellas project, we were already a worldwide project. And
Hmm.
that is something I'm super proud of, is that I'm not just closing the door and I'm not just saying, yes, I know it's Toco Music Mex, but it's just because that's where I live, and there's a ton of talent here. There's a ton of people here, and that's all they need is a voice. And DLT provides that. Web3 provides that, gives people a voice, gives people to interact with people that have the same mindset, a creative mindset, so you can
Yeah.
resonate with one another and create amazing things. Amazing things are going to start happening based out of what's coming in. So metaverse will help that. It'll be a tool. I think
Let's
that's
dream.
my personal.
No, I appreciate it. Let's dream a little bit. Look into the future, a
Okay.
few years. Let's say 5 years. Where would you like to
Hmm.
see yourself, Rich Guin, Token Music? Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
Um, Rich Guin, I just I don't plan out like that. I get inspired, create the assets, and sell them. I don't make a big fanfare about creating a sales event. I believe that in the future those things are going to be gold. Uh, I truly do. I mean, I don't need to hear it from other people before I believe in it. Toko music's different. I would love to see Toko music as a place that um, worldwide brands, music brands, or worldwide brands come to work with us to help them create their NFT marketing and things like that. Musicians come to us to get exposure to an audience that they just can't seem to get through traditional means of
Hmm.
uploading to SoundCloud or whatever the case may be, and these drip payments, or uploading it to YouTube. So my goals for Rich Gwyn is that I love creating it. I love Rich Gwyn, right?
Yeah.
I love that people love Rich Gwyn, and that's enough for me. Um, and I mean, it'll be series after series. The avatars will never change. A lot of people don't understand this about Rich Quint is that there's only 575 of these avatars. That's it. I mean, and in a down market, that doesn't seem like that's a lot. I mean, you're never gonna sell out. I don't care. Like they're still gonna be on the marketplace when the bull market happens. Why would I worry about, selling out now when all I'm doing is just creating digital assets? I'm not creating like these complicated DeFi schemes or anything like that. I'm basically creating a way so you can customize your persona in the metaverse. So you can put on a top hat, you can walk with a diamond tip cane, watches, rings, shoes, outfits, uh, if it worked for Barbie, if it worked for GI Joe, if it worked for all these other things, it's gonna work in the metaverse as well. People are gonna want to customize their persona. So that's where Rich Win is, and I believe it'll just organically it'll grow. And in 5 years, I'll look back and be like, man, I had a hard time selling the avatars. Now nobody can get them. That's where I see that happening. With Toco
Hmm.
Music, I want it to be a success because I want Mexican artists to be represented in the DLT. I want art, their culture, their language represented in the DLT and the distributed ledger technology and the world utilizing it. So that's where it kind of differs. You know, one is purely self gratification. I love creating, so it's that, and then the other one is my passion project.
Nice. Is
So,
there anything we haven't touched on today, or anything I haven't asked that you'd like to touch on before we wrap this up? It's been an absolute pleasure. But yeah, is there anything?
well, then no, yeah, just that nobody does it by themselves, right? And so I want to give big thanks to Slim, to Mattia, to the rest of the founders, Ross, Hazelton, from the people that looked at it early on and said, "No, man, this is good." And and I thought, well, that's cool. I'm doing it more for myself, but no, you should really do this and you should do this. And Ross was big on that. Ross was very encouraging. So Mattia, huge. You know him. A lot of us in the space know him, but I don't think he gets enough credit. Right? There's a lot of collections that have benefited greatly from their connection with Mattia and Tokomax Labs, and we as a community we need to get better about that, about giving flowers to everybody. We're not in competition with one another. We're so early that basically we're all heroes and we're all gonna be regarded as heroes. So we need to quit with the whole I'm only launching on this launch pad, or I'm only working with these guys, or I'm only believing in these projects. Now, if it's a hero project, you need to support it. I mean, obviously, what I'm not talking about is somebody just swoops in and whatever. I'm talking about the people that have been building out over the last 3, 4 years. I mean, we need to support those. And I'm not a big collector. I do really spend all my HBAR on building my own project and stuff like that. But there are some out there that I just buy it, not because of any other reason other than I'm just supporting other fellow creators in the space, and I think that needs to be our mindset moving forward. Um, we all got something. And if we all put a little something into something, it's going to be something great and amazing. So that's the only thing I got to say.
Beautiful. Beautiful message there to wrap this up, Johnny. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure
Appreciate
getting
you
to
guys.
know you a little bit more, hearing more about your journey and Rich Guin, and yeah, I think the community will enjoy the same, getting to know you a little bit
Yeah,
more and the inspiration behind everything you do every day.
very cool. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you, brother.